And welcome everybody to another episode of Mac Yak. We had some technical difficulties. My classic Mac Pro decided for the first time ever that I've had owned this thing, it black screened and crashed. I don't know what happened, but I had to get everything back up and running real quick. So
yeah, we could tell that you were in a bit of a hurry. Look at all those black borders around the camera and everything.
Yes, I had to. I've been trying to get everything straightened out, but you know what? It's going to have to do until I could get everything done, because that's the reason why I come in an hour before to get all this stuff done, because you guys...
Yeah, a lot of good that did you.
Well, yeah, because it all went away.
So now we know how quick you can do it.
Yes.
Before we get started...
You guys, so...
Yeah.
Before we get started and introduce our guest, let's have a quick poll. Is GT tonight blaming A, himself, B, YouTube, C, OBS, or... What are you using? Wirecast?
No.
Or the weather?
No, I'm actually blaming my CMP this time.
Oh.
Okay. There you go, a new one.
Yep.
Add a column for that one.
It must be just the interference of the rocket that NASA, landed or whatever. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure that's it.
But hey, at least the audio works.
Well, that is true. I want to make sure that...
There we go.
Did I even get... yeah, we got Joe in here. Joe, is your audio working? Making sure.
Hello.
Hi, Joe.
All right, so that's working. Okay.
I would say it is.
All right, so guys, we got a pretty good show tonight. We actually had a lot of topics that we got in. And Joe's camera went to that fuchsia color or whatever again.
I don't know what's going
No, it
on.
didn't. Not on my end.
It's
Not
on
mine.
mine.
It's
Oh
on
yeah,
my
it's
screen.
getting
definitely
all
not screen.
sepia again on the
It
screen.
makes you look more retro. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look like an old Instagram post.
it's intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll worry about it later.
Yeah.
We'll work with it. That's
On
what happens
Skype,
when
he
you
looks
use,
fine to me.
when you
But
use
when
a
I look at
quick take for a
YouTube,
webcam.
it's weird.
No, on my Skype here, it's kind of like a red thing.
Joe just
that-
really wanted to use his original Connectix webcam. So
Yeah,
that's
there you
what
go.
Ah.
You called it. You got it. That's that. You won the 64.
Mac Boy goes, it's the TRS-80 filter.
There we go.
Colours back. All good.
And there it went.
Let's
Okay,
introduce
well,
our
wait,
friend
yeah.
before people wonder who.
All right,
Yes,
so
for goodness sake.
tonight, I'm going to go ahead and let Steve introduce him, since you've been talking to him the most. So we'll go.
Sure. So you might have seen Joe, because he has an excellent YouTube channel, which we'll let him ramble on about in a little bit. But we were all talking about. I'll let Joe introduce that subject. But Joe has a great YouTube channel, and he tinkers around with not only Macs but other machines as well. And he's going to be part of something that's coming up that we'll be going to be talking about, and I guess I'll let him introduce that. But it's very excited to have him on, and we're going to probably have him on again sometime soon when that event happens. So let's stop me rambling and
Yes.
pass it over to Joe for a proper introduction.
Well, thank you all for having me on Mac Yak tonight. I do appreciate it. If any of you watching out there don't know who I am, which is probable, Joe from Joe's Computer Museum, have a little space on YouTube here where I play with mostly old 8-bit computers, specializing in the Apple II, but I do a lot of different things all over the place. I love my classic Macs and stuff too. And I do everything from repair to reviewing new replacement parts for things, to 3D printing stuff, to putting together lacquer racks out of IKEA furniture, to whatever the heck I feel like doing at the time.
Nice.
So yeah, I was invited to come by tonight and talk with the crew, and I'm really glad to be here.
And I should
He
mention that if you haven't subscribed to Joe's channel, Joe's Computer Museum, do make sure you get out there and do that now. He's not a hack like me. He's like a proper technician.
Technically speaking, maybe only.
And he wasn't invited, by the way. He paid us an extreme amount of money just to be on tonight.
The check cleared.
said we
Thank
weren't gonna
you.
Talk about that.
Read the terms and conditions, Joe. But he's at 3.08 thousand subscribers on YouTube. So let's see if we can
just
bump
hit
that up.
3K. It's crazy.
There
I
you
just
go.
I don't know. Nerds are popular now.
So
Don't worry,
all
YouTube
coming out
will
of the
adjust
woodwork.
itself, and it'll shrink you down a little bit.
so where's those 3K at tonight? You know, we need them here.
Yeah.
Hey man, I told
It's
everybody
weird.
to come on by. They need to just that's it's in the tweets and all that stuff. So
It would have worked, GT, if somebody's computer didn't go kablama.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
there were like 2,000 people watching before it crashed. So.
well, oh well,
Oh well.
stuff happens.
Yeah,
But
it
yeah, I mean,
does.
All right.
Joe had an interesting few videos with some Macintosh SEs and SE30s where one of the ones I was watching recently had so many traces that were repaired on
oh
that
my
thing.
gosh.
I
That
wish-
was the classic SE. And it was all on the back side of the board too. It was the weirdest thing. But
Yeah, I've
I don't
never
know how
seen
I
one
managed to
like
even get that to work, but it just kind of did the thing. I'm like, okay, I'll take it.
Here's the
Take the win
here's
and
the
take
big,
the credit.
here's the big point of difference between me and Joe. I was watching his SE31 with a problem with an FPU on that, and he spent so much time doing diagnostics on that FPU. I mean, I would have just whipped it off straight away. Hang the diagnostics, off you go.
Well, that's probably the difference. Is I was learning as I went, so I was trying to figure out just to for my own sake and sanity what the heck was actually going on. So
Yeah,
good move.
that's
I said, proper
it's very
technician.
cool to watch that because
Yes.
like Bruce, I would have just like, yeah, the part's bad,
Steve needs to send his 840 AV to you to fix.
I don't think any sorcerer in the world is getting that thing working.
By the way, I got a comment earlier on the background. This is a background from a Twitter user called Jen Rain. Her name is Jenny. She took all the wallpapers, all the stock wallpapers from every version of macOS 10 up until Mojave or Catalina, I'm not sure, and mashed them all together into this thing. And I thought it was
Trippy.
really cool. So
Fancy.
I like it.
yeah.
Floating out into space.
I really like it. All right. So let's go ahead and move on to our news and announcements here. First up, we got Apple is supposedly releasing another Intel Mac. So who found this article here? Wants to talk about it?
I think Joe and
found
I
it.
have the same feeling.
I found it, and I don't want to talk about
it's
it.
like the Osborne effect. Like why?
So here's a question though: with the M1 out, who's going to buy the damn thing?
Well, which one is it?
Question, isn't it?
I don't know. Let me look at the article here. I haven't even looked at the article. So
If it's a
none of
good
us
machine, I would consider it.
Yeah, I'd consider it because I still like Intel machines.
well, I think it
You
looks
already
like
have an M1.
it looks
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
Mac Pro is going to be the Mac Pro is going to still have an Intel processor.
Oh yeah, I'd buy that.
Well, I kind of figured that.
Well, if they've got a niche to fill, if they have time to fill between models and they don't have the high end M1 or Apple Silicon ready, they've got to put something out to keep the machine up to date. So
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and you got to look at it this way. The M1, I really don't think is anywhere near ready to go into a Mac Pro or a Pro
From
machine
what
like
we've
that.
seen, who knows what they got in their labs? But I have a question. Maybe it's just me being an idiot, but is the current Mac Pro that slow that it needs a speed bump? I'm not saying Apple shouldn't speed bump it because they definitely should.
Well,
But
I
I'm
mean,
just curious.
GT can obviously use a new one, but for me, it's still good enough.
Well, I think part of the problem is Apple got a lot of backlash with the last version of the Mac Pro because they never updated it.
Yeah.
They ran the same machine from 2013
That's
all the
true.
way up until 2018. So, and I think Apple caught a lot of backlash for that. So they're likely responding to that by releasing some minor tweaks, maybe, or I don't know. They're talking about a smaller version.
And you're not going to tell me that there's any M1 Mac out there right now that can compete against a 2019 Mac Pro fully loaded.
Not yet.
No
Well,
way.
what if you duct tape a bunch of Mac Minis together?
That might be.
Either way, you'd never have the graphics. You'd never have the graphics capability of a Mac Pro.
Right.
And I think, and I truthfully, I don't think it's so much raw speed or number of cores. It's going to be more video.
The thing is, what if they're actually going to update the iMac Pro since it hasn't been touched since 2017?
I think they should
It
just
needs an
cancel the
update.
iMac Pro.
I do too, but still,
It's redundant.
it
Yeah.
is.
They should never even had the iMac Pro, to be honest
They
with you.
shouldn't.
Oh, it was, yes.
There's a
I
stopgap.
believe,
Yeah.
I believe there was definitely a time and a place for the iMac Pro. It's a great machine. And
Well-
if you look at the forums and the Facebook groups and all that, there's never any complaints about the iMac Pro hardware. That machine is one of the most solid machines they've built in a very long time, and it has proper cooling. So I'd much rather have Apple
Well-
ditch the current iMac line and focus on the Pro than the other way around.
Well, here's the thing, though, is with the iMac Pro, I think it was a stopgap measure until they came out with the Mac Pro.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it was
I think
too.
it was too.
Because, the trash cans were basically not updated forever. What was the last one that came out?
2013.
It was 6 years old by the time they killed
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
I think they did a small spec bump in 2015, I think.
yeah. But
It's
still, a small spec bump. The graphics cards in them, were crap. And, so they decided, let's do a stopgap measure. And I think that Mac Pro was a stopgap measure until the Pro came out. And that's the reason why you're not going to see, at least I don't think we're going to see another iMac Pro come out.
I hope
Maybe.
we will, but we'll see.
Yep.
It would be nice, but I truthfully think the machine's redundant now.
If we do, I think they should lower the price on it.
All
I
right.
agree.
Next news item is: are we finally getting AirTags?
I must be
What's an
out.
AirTag?
I don't know what the heck they're talking.
Well, you ever see those little tiles? They're called tiles where you hook them on keychain stuff, and if you lose them, you can use your phone to find them. That's pretty much what AirTags are. Yeah,
Ah,
you stick them to things, and if you lose them, you can find them.
And then everybody else will know where they are because internet things.
Well, and it does it reverse ways too, because usually they have a button on it you could press, and if you lose your phone and you have your keys, you could press that and it rings your phone or whatever.
I'm only interested in their implementation of it because almost every single one of those devices I've tried has either died exactly when I needed it to work or it just failed miserably. So,
Yeah.
just for that
I'm
reason,
the
I'm
same.
curious.
I had one of these little things in, I think it was in my wallet or something like that, and it died. I mean, it wasn't the battery. I mean, the thing proper died. So yeah, I'm of the same thinking. I mean, those things, in order for them to be effective, they have to be, I think, a bit more durable and a bit more reliable. So will Apple?
they
Do
need
that?
to be rechargeable. That's the big thing.
Well, of
Well,
course,
if Apple could ever get there.
the batteries are replaceable.
Yeah, this one has a replacement.
Well, like
battery.
on, for instance, tiles, they aren't.
Yes, they are. What tiles
The
are you
early
using?
ones weren't.
The newer ones, though, are.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
I
the
got
original. Yeah, the
Hard
original
would be
tile
to
you had to send
Put
back.
like
Yeah.
Qi charging in it. So you just put it on your Qi charger and
Exactly. Yeah, that's Joe. Where I think hopefully Apple is going. I would imagine they were going that route, but maybe that's why
I am super excited about it. I mean, with their Mac Pro being $60,000, the wheels being $700, the new headphones being $600, these
The-
tags can
the
easily
stand-
run $500. So I'm
You-
super excited
what about the
for it.
stand? What about the stand?
Yeah, I'm going to buy 20 of them. Absolutely. I think the price tag is going to be ridiculous.
I think
You know
so
it.
too. We're going to be paying a lot of Apple tax on those.
Yeah, but
it cost us a lot of R&D, and you're paying for it.
All right.
Why would people do that when there are other ones out there?
Yeah, that's the thing. They have to be
Because
competitive.
it's
They
Apple.
have to come in in my opinion, they have to come in at a competitive price range for that sort of thing. Otherwise, no one's going to bother.
Okay, but we were talking about Apple here, that they put out a laptop that's like way overpriced from others, but yet people still buy them.
But that's
Yeah,
a
but
laptop
then-
running a specific OS.
I
I
understand
don't
that.
think this AirTag thing is going to be so
No,
revolutionary.
no, you're going to get the Apple, sheep.
You're going to get the Apple followers, aka cultists, who are going to be, oh my god, I got to go buy this right now
Yep.
because it's got an apple on it. Well, damn, I can color an apple on a tile with a Sharpie and sell it for $499.
Yeah.
Sounds
yeah,
like a
they'll
good
find
marketing
some
strategy.
feature or some kind of thing to give it a twist that makes it worth the $600 they're gonna add. Like anyone in the vicinity of this tag, it beats coronavirus or something. They're gonna make up that warrants the price
after
tag.
10 minutes of inactivity, it grows legs and finds you.
Yeah.
Actually, I truthfully,
Like one of those spiders in Minority Reports. Just gonna find you.
I truthfully
Did you lose
think
your phone?
they're going to be even more limited because they're only going to work with iPhones. And I hate to say it, but in the phone infrastructure, iPhone only counts for 20% of phones out there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at
we'll
the
see
Apple
what they
Watch. The Apple Watch is the same way. It only really works with the iPhone.
So I don't know. We'll see.
Yep. All right. Next up is today's a birthday. Well, actually, not today. It was the 16th. Was February 16th, 2000. The Pismo was born. Who in here owns a Pismo? I don't have one, but
Which one's the Pismo?
The
best
best,
I
best
do.
PowerBook G3 ever made.
That doesn't answer the question.
I have one.
The last one.
That's a 97 one, right?
It's
No, 2000.
yeah, they're either 400 or 500
Oh,
megahertz.
it's the one with the FireWire, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Now I know which one.
Is it one that has SCSI as well, or is that?
No.
no,
No, that was the Lombard and Beck.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I've got one because I've got one of each of them, but yeah, I never can tell them apart.
It is the most laptop Apple has made
Ever.
to date.
Basically.
I know it's old. I know it was a G3, but there hasn't been a laptop since that has that kind of expandability in ports ever.
And man, are they cool with G4s upgraded into them.
Yeah, once you get the fan spinning, right?
all right. Next on the list here is the M1 isn't immune. What is that about? Who put that one in there?
So there.
I put that one
First,
Bruce.
No. Jay, I'll let you go.
All right, Jay, go.
okay. It turns out that, and we'll circle back to this topic a little bit later on as well.
All right, let's not use that term.
Macs don't get viruses or malware, right? It turns out they do, and the people that write this malware are very, very interested in getting it compatible with the latest architecture, being ARM. So the first malware, which is a very annoying Safari browser extension, has been found that is completely written from the ground up for ARM architecture.
Cool.
And more will follow. So, yay.
That was a matter of time.
Yep. Took them this long.
They're always gonna find Apple's gonna do tit for tat this. They're gonna release something. Apple's gonna fix a hole. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how you get all those.
Oh yeah, as soon as this malware is found, usually the the developer certificate is revoked and
already
stops
has
working.
been. Yep.
So
Get a slap on the wrist.
All right.
but there will be more.
And the last item we have in the news is Apple says some iPhone 12 hardware issues will no longer require replacing the entire device. Who wants to elaborate on that one?
So basically, Apple was replacing the entire device if you broke anything. Because remember when they made iPhone 12s basically impossible to repair? Well, it's starting to bite them in the ass.
Yeah.
And it's apparently costing them a lot of money.
We did a whole segment on that here, I don't know, a couple,
So
3 months ago.
anytime they have to repair something, they instead of just replacing the part and reprogramming the phone, they just replaced the whole phone. And now they're not doing that. They're actually reprogramming the parts that they put in, which will actually be more green, I guess.
Well, how green of them! Yeah, it was just
Yeah.
I wonder how much of it was just like we have to circumvent our own, protective technologies here to make sure that the parts aren't saying, "I'm not a genuine part" or whatever.
Yeah.
yeah. Hey Joe, for a man with a passion for hardware in 1995 and before, what kind of phone do you wield?
iPhone, of course.
That looks like an old one, though.
It's a 10XR or something.
Still newer than mine.
It's a rotary dial iPhone.
Yeah.
Rotary dial.
I would buy that.
When you guys go this old, let me know, okay?
Yes.
What is it?
6S Plus.
Yeah, you beat me. I'm a 7.
I think that's about the oldest. Well, no, I lied. Where is it?
Mine's a
I do.
6S.
I actually have an older one that I still use.
Now everyone's whipping out their.
Well, what's funny,
Way to go.
Is that a 5C?
Too.
speaking of that, Dana, did you fix it with those parts I sent you?
No, I still haven't ordered the adhesive kit yet.
Damn it.
You had plenty of time.
I know. Dana doesn't do things.
In fact, I'm changing the name of my channel.
Yes, and then you should just change all the imagery of you just like sleeping. Like, I mean,
Dana said, "Screw it."
no, it's just like a look at, like you're looking back at the camera. You're just like, ugh.
Yeah. All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our first topic of the evening, actually. The best replacement for the Mac Pro. I know we talked a little bit about this a minute ago, but what do we consider the best replacement or possible successor to the 5.1 Mac Pro? Or do we need one?
7.1 Mac Pro.
Well, you got 5.1 in the notes.
Yeah.
Somebody put
I didn't put
5.1
it
in the
there.
notes.
Well, let's just say a successor to a Mac Pro.
Yeah.
To the classic Mac Pro, yeah. I would say iMacs are very powerful these days, but they don't offer the expandability I want from my Mac. So for me, the 7.1 is the only
Dan
option,
Bashir actually
which,
wrote an article
It's
on
actually
MIM
linked
about
in
it.
the notes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
I would
he
say the
settled
best
on an iMac too. I think the 2017 iMac was his
Yeah.
iMac of choice because
The
it doesn't have
Retina.
a D2 chip.
Yep.
Well, I
But
mean,
yeah, for me, the 7.1, I should be able to afford one in about a decade, and then I'll be upgrading.
Yeah.
well, here's the thing, though, is, and you guys all know this. I mean, I had a 2017 iMac that I used to do the show on, but when I got this 4.1/5.1, I actually sold that Mac because the multi-thread just put it to shame.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
now the iMac did beat it single core, but multi-core, man, this one smoked it, you know. Oh yeah.
Inside joke.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it. To be honest with you, I like this machine. I just hope it lasts a little bit longer than like tonight, it crashing for the first time ever. So
You know, sometimes that's caused by the power supply getting weak. So
Sometimes it's caused by the user.
it could be that.
this
too.
wasn't a
It
user.
could
This,
be a short circuit sitting in front of it.
so yeah, I'll have to figure out. I'll have to do some research on
Stress
this. I might.
tests.
Yep.
Hey Joe, what is your daily driver?
My daily. Oh, see, this is where you're all gonna hate me. It's a
Only
Windows
Jay
router.
will hate you.
Oh,
PC.
disgusting! Who invited this guy?
Hey, my streaming machine used to be a Windows computer.
Yeah,
so.
but you're never here, so I don't care.
I got a Mac here as a DAW that I use for doing music, and I use an Air for just goofing around on. So it's all good. But when I need horsepower and I need to render it, or I need it for doing rendering and things like that. I'm an old school PC guy, so like I know how to build the machines and make them work. So
So, Joe,
same
what's
here.
your machine again? We were all talking over you, and people in the chat didn't hear it.
it's a gosh, what is it? It's a IB or I can't remember.
Run over.
Gateway 2000.
I'm not a true geek. I don't remember my specs. It's a Ryzen 3950X, 32 gigs of RAM, solid states out the wazoo. Just
Fancy.
Very fancy.
Now he just needs to make it a Hackintosh, and
there you go.
it'll be a little bit better. All
I
right.
mean, I know
Still,
Mike has been streaming.
YouTube channels. My mouse cursor doesn't go away.
Ah,
I
technically.
use a PC to stream, so
Yeah, I use a PC to stream. I give him plenty of crap about it, but it gets the job done. So,
but I still use. I don't use it as my daily. As a matter of fact, it's not even. It's never unless I'm streaming. It's not even turned on.
well, you have to keep it on so it can install the 55 updates a week in the background.
Well, that's why I turn it on 3 hours before I start my stream. That way, Windows can do its.
Okay.
I'm going to update 1,000 times, but I have to. I quit using Windows 3 years ago when they announced the end of life for Windows 7, which I absolutely loved and never had problems with. I tried Windows 10 when they first came out with the upgrade your computer for free deal, okay? And it was horrible. It was the worst freaking operating system I ever laid hands on. And that's saying a lot because, Windows Vista. So, but, that was it. I was done. That's when I went back to, I went to using a Mac full time for the first time ever. And I don't regret it. But I tell you what, the new version of Windows 10, now they got all the bugs and stuff, it's actually really pretty good.
All right, easy now, Mike.
Still not
easy.
the same thing, but I'm considering some of the crap that they've come out with before, it's actually a pretty solid operating system for a PC.
Well, they copied what Apple does and releases one good thing, and they keep iterating on it every 6 months to a year. And
Well,
they do have that perpetual
Microsoft
license from the 80s, so they just keep using it.
Microsoft hits and misses like every other operating system. Like, if you don't count Windows 2000, which technically was just like a reskin of Windows NT, Windows XP was awesome. Vista sucked. 7 was awesome. Windows 8 was I mean, 8.0 was horrible. 8.1 wasn't too bad.
It was pretty good.
Then Windows 10,
To be fair, the same can be said about Mac.
Yeah, the hotfix. Yeah. What a hotfix.
And then we have, and then in the Mac, then you have Snow Leopard, which was awesome, and I don't remember the exact
Lion,
but Lion wasn't that great. Mountain Lion was okay.
Mavericks was better.
El Capitan was probably the best.
Yeah.
And
Mojave's
Mojave's actually not bad. I mean, I don't have a problem with it.
See, now people in the chat are asking if we're Windows Yak. Come on, guys. Come on.
We're going to talk.
We've moved that.
We're going to talk
I've
about all
affected
types
you all.
of
You can blame
technology.
me.
Yeah,
We will.
we blame Joe for bringing up Windows.
Moving on.
Windows
All right.
3.1.
Hey, look, let's go both ways, okay?
Oh, God.
Jay's distracted.
What's
here.
our next topic?
All right. So let's see. All right. The background. Do you guys like the background here, or do you want to see something different? So Jay, explain to him what's going on here.
Yeah. I was trying to look for the link, and I got way distracted over there.
It's in the description.
So, as we mentioned last week, my kid designed a background for the show. He had a blast doing it, and we suggested that other people might want to do the same. And a lot of people in the chat and on Discord said, yeah, we would like a shot at that. So it took me about a week to get it done, but I finally got the template and all that stuff up on the website. The link is in the chat and in the video description. And if you want to make a background for us to use during the show, have at it. Have fun with it and send it to us, and we'll use it in the show. So that's it.
All right.
I have the background to Joe's Computer Museum, jcm-1.com, if you want to use that.
No, that's against the rules, actually, if you read the rules.
He's just going to hold up an image of his background in front of his camera for the entire stream.
But we will have a link to your website in the description after the show here, so we'll put that in here.
I'll do it
Yep.
now.
All right. All right. Next up, and as a matter of fact, Joe gets to talk now for a lot because we're going to talk about Marcintosh. So
Yeah, I'll be back in an hour.
yeah.
So, Marcintosh, if y'all hadn't heard about this thing yet, pay attention because here it comes. So, Ron from Ron's Computer Videos and I were just randomly chatting one evening, and we're just throwing ideas back and forth. And he's like, "We should do this thing for Macs, like they're doing for December." And the December thing was kind of because there was. Like there wasn't a lot of community involvement. People weren't told about it and all of that other stuff. So like we can do it better. So let's think about it. So we were just throwing ideas back and forth. Came up with the concept Marcintosh, and it's like that sounds cool. So then we just started putting together
Dogs.
rules or whatever about it, and it just kind of came together. So here's the idea. During the month of March, YouTubers, Twitch streamers, Instagrammers, anybody who wants to do anything at all on their whatevers can do something about a classic Mac. And by classic, we mean from 84 up until like Mac OS 9-ish, pre-Mac OS X stuff. Anything they want at all about their classic Mac that they love, whether it's talking about the history, their personal machine they've had since 1984, some cool hack they've did, this interesting find they found down at Computer Reset in Texas, whatever they want, do it during March, tag it Marcintosh, and let's all come together and just celebrate these old awesome machines that have started everything for us. I mean, we're probably all in the IT and nerd tech industries because of those computers. So let's celebrate.
You're right about that.
And that was the idea. It just kind of came together as almost a natural progression of, well, let's figure it out. If those wacky Tandies and those boring DOS machines can have their own month, we can have something for Macs. So
Shots fired.
I could do a video on my mother Mac. Yeah.
You could,
You can,
but
if
are
you can
you?
find it.
Yeah. Well, it is sitting downstairs. It hasn't moved since I unboxed it last year. So, yeah.
So Joe, do you have any? You don't have to reveal anything yet, but do you have any teases for maybe some of the stuff that you are planning on working on?
Ooh, yeah. So repairs, in the vein of some of the repairs I've done in the past. As I turn my head here, I'm staring at a pile of things, just off camera, very, very strategically.
It looks like your room, huh, Steve?
Yes, except his
does,
is organized.
Way
No,
lazy.
no.
This is organized.
You can
Organized.
floor.
Oh, that's a background. Okay, that's.
I also want to do I want to put together how can I put it? A solder it yourself kit to improve the communications between Macs and new computers. I'll just leave it at that for people in the chat to guess what I might be talking about there. And maybe an interest story. I don't know. I'm still kind of putting together. I don't plan too far ahead because planning, what's that? But yeah, I have some stuff, and in the Mac Yak Discord, I've been seeing a lot of people put stuff up there. I've been tagging stuff on Twitter with the Marcintosh, and I've been seeing people give me feedback there too. So it's not just this small group. We're really trying to expand out, and a lot of people have plans, and I really look forward to seeing what everybody in the community is going to be putting together. I mean, it's not just about me; it's about us coming together as a team, so to speak, and making the fun stuff happen. Teach the world, proselytize about the Macs.
Sounds
Our
good.
website has like 2,000 something hits right now, so there you go.
Nice.
Marcintosh.com.
Marcintosh.com, everybody. If you're curious about the details, go there. You can read about it and find out how to participate. It's really not hard. We're not gatekeeping. Use the hashtag, throw it up in March, and do the thing.
Yeah, if somebody wants to put that link in the description,
I just did.
Alrighty.
And it actually works out really well for me because what I had planned for our PowerPC 68K challenge that I never got around to doing, I've decided that I'm just going to move that to March and do it then. So
Same.
works out well.
Yeah.
Good,
Actually,
good
I might
excuse
still
for us
not
all.
do anything in March because the project that I want to do, I want to do it so perfect that I'll probably never end up doing it because it'll never be
Sure,
good enough.
Jay.
So,
Sure.
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't your project involve a little bit of OS 10? I could be wrong on that, but
No, it involves a lot of blue and a lot of white.
okay. Good.
Yeah.
So you're good. 8.6.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Joe, do you have a particular favorite of a Macintosh operating system?
Good question.
If he says Windows, I'm banning him.
Ha! Yeah, we have a 630 CD back here that runs Windows 3.1, so yes, no. I'm kidding, but I do have one. Favorite Mac Classic is probably 608 because it is the quintessential early Mac design, yet it works on so much stuff from the back to the pluses all the way up to the SE30s and stuff if you want it to. And with local talk and stuff, you can sort of get it connected to other things if you need to, and things like that. So, I'd say 608 probably.
Well, that's really interesting you say that, because that's actually what I'm planning to do for Marcintosh. So I've got a Macintosh 2CI with a Radius Rocket 6804 CPU in it, which basically runs 6.08. So it is theoretically the fastest 608 computer you can run, because none of the 040 machines that came out afterwards, like the Quadra 700, for example, none of them will actually run 608. So I'm going to be doing a little video on using 6.08 sort of on that computer, and all the different things you can and can't do with it.
Benchmarks. I want to see benchmarks.
I'll give you some benchmarks, don't you worry. Speedometer okay, or do you want something else?
Oh, that'll work.
Yeah, cool.
I have a cool idea, by the way, that I want to talk to you about, Bruce, after the stream, but it kind of builds on what Joe was saying about his kits that he's thinking about. And I'm thinking of something that I used years ago. I'm just going to tell it here in case someone has already tried it. When I got married in 2009, I went to Best Buy and I got an SD card for my digital camera that had Wi-Fi built in. So any picture I took was streamed to the computer right away. Can I use an SD card like that in a SCSI 2 SD and make that card accessible to another computer while it's operating?
I have one of those cards. Those is the iFi cards, you mean, Jay?
Yeah, that's the one.
The orange ones? Yeah, I have one of those.
So you have to try it.
Yeah.
I should actually mention that it is actually on the ongoing development list for the SCSI 2 SD, the version 5.2, to actually give it some Wi-Fi capability in the future. So that's actually something that is already sort of in the works. There are some fantastic things that are going to be coming out with the SCSI 2 SD in the future. It's certainly not a technology that's just sort of stagnating. They're working to try and improve it. You know, some of the things are things like buying one with that you can just boot even without an SD card, boot straight into like System 7.5 or something like that. So that you can just take one, plug it in, boot into 7.5, put an SD card in it, format it, install a system, that sort of thing. So a little bit like a bootable ROM, like the Rominator, that sort of thing. So anyhow, yeah, some amazing stuff coming with the SCSI 2 SD in the future.
With those kind of projects, along with whatever Joe is thinking of, that's going to be the key to keeping these machines around longer in the future. So I'm all for it. The more, the better.
Anything we can do to get stuff in and out of the machine that doesn't involve a floppy drive, I'm all for it.
What, you want a spaghetti of phone net adapters?
or as our friend Ken says, conversion technology.
Oh, you're not converting it that much.
You never know. Somebody might figure a way to do that.
I mean, obviously, if we're talking about any of the new bus Macs, you can sort of drop an Ethernet card in there, and like with the 2CI that I was just talking about before, even on a System 6.08, I can FTP with it, so I can download stuff off an FTP server from sort of through a modern computer. But if you're talking about a compact Mac, like an older compact Mac, I mean, like a Plus or an SE or something like that, and you want to Ethernet that, you pretty much your only option with those is to go with what do they call SCSI Ethernet. Yeah, and they're getting pretty hard to find.
I am so glad I did not sell mine.
Yeah, I had two. I sold one and accidentally kept the broken one.
Oh. I do have a spare board of one, Bruce. I don't know if it works. Last time I tested it was like 2011. But I have a spare board for one. I have one in the box, one with the case, and then I have one of the small little notebook ones. So we could try and get yours working, Bruce.
Yeah, we can try. Yep. I do also have the issue that I think this is one of the ones that doesn't talk nicely to modern network hubs. Yeah. It's 10 base T, and when you plug it in, it doesn't tell the hub, I want a 10 base T signal. So they only work if you plug them into a 10 base T hub or switch, which I don't actually have. But, yeah, minor thing, I suppose.
I'm curious how well a Wi-Fi SCSI 2SD is going to do, because out of all the machines I own, the Wi-Fi inside the Mac Pro is by far the worst because the module is inside a metal enclosure. Like, if you put that in an SE with like 5mm thick metal on all sides, how else is it going to do?
Yeah, look, I don't know how it's going to work. It's ultimately going to be utilising the same little modules that you would use on, say, an Arduino. So as you know, you can little Wi-Fi modules for Arduinos, and it's going to be using that sort of thing. Now, with those, I assume you can probably set up some external antennas and stuff like that. I mean, it's not something that I've investigated greatly because, as I say, I mean, pretty much all of the to and froing that I do with data on the old Macs, I just do with Ethernet and FTP.
I can see it being a thing where you would use it primarily on the external DB25 port as just a module to pop from machine to machine to machine, just to make it a little bit easier to use. But then again, if you're doing that, you're like 2 feet away from your computer, so you can pop the SD in and out. I don't know.
Yeah. I guess it would be useful if you were using it as like a Wi-Fi zip drive or something, and you were just popping stuff in, from one machine to. It would be really cool if you had
I would love that.
If you had like two, one in one computer, one in the other, and you would just floating things back and forth.
I mean, the thing is that I've got lots and lots of computer bits. I've got external hard drives, external SCSI 2SDs and stuff like that. When it comes to getting a computer, if I've bought a new computer or something and I put a SCSI 2SD in it and getting an operating system on it, it's a piece of cake. But there are a lot of people out there that have got one computer, and it's failed hard drive, and they've bought a SCSI 2SD, and they're sitting here with the computer and the SCSI 2SD saying, well, what do I do now? How do I get a system on this thing? How do I get it up and running? And it's really easy for me with an external hard drive or something to say, I just plug in an external hard drive, install an operating system on it, and away you go. But for someone who, as I say, in particular, if they're just starting out and they've only got that one computer, it'd be nice to give them, sort of a few different options for getting the thing back up and running again.
Yeah, while we're talking about this, just have you ever played around with the SCSI 2SD adapter yourself there, Joe?
Oh, yeah, several of them.
Do you have...
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I've got several machines where I've replaced the drive in. One of the SEs that I fixed recently on one of my videos, I did that with. And I have one external that I like to keep around as an emergency boot drive.
Nice.
Just if I'm repairing, doing whatever, I just pop it in, and it's got my favorite 608 in it. It boots almost everything, and...
Perfect.
Nice.
I tend to use 7.1 as my boot everything operating system. It travels a little bit further back.
Yeah, just a little bit farther into the future. Yeah.
That's right. When I was actually working out which system I was going to use for the computers that I sort of work with, I did a little chart just showing which they start and stop. And 7.1 covered a wider range of Macs. Obviously, it leaves out those really early ones like the 128 and the 512K, but pretty much everything after that is covered quite a long way. So that's what I tend to use as my sort of boot anything operating system.
Sounds like a weekend project for me to replace the OS on my portable SCSI 2SD.
Or just have a.
You give me ideas of things to do. Thank you.
Just have a stack of SD cards there.
I mean, I actually have an external SCSI 2SD that has one drive set up as 7.1, one as 6.08, and one as 7.5. And when you hold down Shift Option Command Delete on a vintage Mac, this is a little lesson for anyone out there with a vintage Mac who wasn't aware of this. If you hold down Shift Option Command Delete when you start up, it automatically tries to boot from the highest SCSI ID down. Otherwise, it would normally try and start booting from the lowest SCSI ID up. And so whatever you have at SCSI ID 6, it will try that. If it's not that, it'll try 5, it'll try 4. And so with the external SCSI 2SD that I have, you can bring it up into the SCSI 2SD utility and just change the SCSI ID on the partition you have. So if I've got 608, 7.1 and 7.53. If I want to boot from 7.5, for example, I'll set that as SCSI ID 6, and the other one is like 5 and 4, and then save that to the SCSI 2SD, go in and Shift Option Command Delete, and then it will boot from whichever one is at SCSI ID 6. In theory, you're meant to be able to hold down Shift Option Command Delete and the ID, the SCSI ID of what you want to boot from. So you should be able to hold Shift Option Command Delete 5 and boot from SCSI ID 5 if there is a device there. But unfortunately, that little trick doesn't seem to work with the SCSI 2 SD. I have tried it on various computers and it doesn't.
You also run out of fingers quite fast.
Yeah, that's right. You do get good at the old shifter. I remember the very first time I told someone, this is back in the 90s, the first time I told someone, can you try booting from an external device, can you hold down Shift Option Command Delete? And they just took one look at their keyboard and said, are you kidding?
Well, these days you can just 3D print a little thing you just mash down onto the keyboard and press it at the same time. You're good.
Patent pending, yeah.
Well, I'm trying to see how I could do that and hit the 5 key or whatever at the same time. Like,
it's a bit of a
doable.
stretch.
It is doable, trust me.
I'm sitting there like,
we have a whole
No,
we have a whole month of Marcintosh.
Yes.
So I want one of you guys, one of you Bejos, to come up with an idea or a way to net boot from system 7 or 8.
Oh, come on.
Why?
You got a month. You can figure it out. Because it's cool. NetBoot is the greatest thing that's ever been
Jay
made.
just likes giving us unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
pretty
come on.
unrealistic.
Mac OS 9 can do it. I'm sure someone can figure out a way
Yeah, because it's
to
in
make
the
it work
ROM
on
of the
8.
of the frickin' Mac.
Yeah, you can make it work. Come on. Come on.
hey, you got a new little toy, so you could put some code in there to make it do that.
I mean, you could possibly do it if you boot onto some kind of loader operating system.
It's a tiny stub file on a floppy or something that does the thing.
You might be able to do it that way.
There you go, Rudy. Enjoy. Go ahead.
No, I don't have that kind of expertise to do that.
You might be
Even-
able to do it using Timbuktu. I don't know, but
Yeah, I
that
don't
would probably be very slow.
Yeah. Yes. Let's boot over local talk.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, the funny thing is that, like, in this day and age, when you look at local talk, and it is the performance is laughable. It really is. But I mean,
That's all we
I
had
used-
for a while.
Yeah, that's right. I used local talk for years, or PhoneNet, as we were probably using at the time, to save a bit of dough. But the company that I worked with, that was what we have. I remember actually being the instigator of moving to Ethernet at our, sort of our offices, and I picked the wrong one. I picked bloody thin. How stupid! But never mind. That's another story. There's a whole story behind that. But and we did, of course, then change to 10 mostly after that. But that's another story. But the one thing you do have to say about local talk, as slow as it was, when it came to talking to people in the Windows world about them setting up their networking, compared to setting up networking on a Mac, where you basically just go plug, you join these things together and bang, you're talking to each other.
Yep.
It was incredibly simple. I mean, it was so easy to set up.
Rudy, why are you sniffing yourself?
What? I'm trying to pull a cramp out of my finger.
Okay, it looked like you were sniffing yourself, and I just couldn't stop laughing.
All right, guys. Anything else on Marcintosh before we move on, or?
Well, Grudy's gonna start eating himself, so I guess we better move on.
Yeah.
Well, are there any plans for the website, marcintosh.com? Any plans for that?
I think the idea is just keep it simple. I was being a little silly. I added a hit counter on there and tried to start a retro Mac web ring, but I'll give Joe the same access
God,
to it.
web rings. Who remembers those? Oh my God.
I do. I love web rings.
Oh, I remember those.
I
I've
used to
forgotten about them.
Yeah.
Forgotten about them.
The original internet rabbit hole, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, but check out the Marcintosh.com website. There's the welcome guide and the style guide on there. You can even view it on your older Macs. So thank you to Christian from Macintosh Garden for the tip there. And don't try that at home, but yeah.
Was that a tip or was that a scolding? Like,
That was
what
a
the hell?
tip.
I can't access it.
No, that was a tip because I didn't have the HTTPS thing set up to be the fancy way that most hosts don't automatically set it to. So.
Alrighty, so let's go ahead and move on to our next item, and that is the EAP game. Everyone should know how to play this by now, right? I don't have to explain the rules anymore.
Yeah, but you love doing it, so.
But all right, here's simple rules: EAP if you have, Quack if you haven't. Simple as that. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read off something. Like I just said, is if you have done this, then you just type EAP. If you have not done this, type Quack in the chat. All of us will actually say it. So there you go. First one is taking keys. Have you ever taken keys off your keyboard for cleaning only to end up breaking the key or mechanism?
Eep.
Eep.
EAP.
Quack.
Anyone
Anyone want to tap?
Who
I
wants
said
to
Quack.
tap?
Who said Quack?
I
What?
did.
You've never broken a keyboard?
No.
I said Quack too. I've never
What?
broken a keyboard. I'm very gentle.
He focuses on the more expensive parts like CPU trays.
Yeah. If you're gonna screw something up, go big.
Does intentionally throwing the keyboard to make it shatter into a million pieces for the purpose of entertainment count?
No.
No.
Sorry.
No.
No, but I do like
Or
Nice
pouring
try.
pouring water on it live on Mac Yak. You know, that doesn't
Yeah,
count
that's
either.
a
Yeah,
rocket.
The reason I've never broken one is because I've never taken the keys off of one of these before.
That's just a death sentence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can't say mine was a Mac keyboard. It was actually on an Atari 26 Atari computer. And
Oh, keyboard's a keyboard.
yeah, I went to go I was taking the keys off, and because it was so old, the little key thing broke inside there, and I was like, ouch. And
Happens way too often.
yeah, I was like, it was the number 3 key. I remember that one specifically. I had every other key off, and I was working my way along the number keys, and guess what? That one decided not to come off right. It's like, damn it.
Oh well.
We
All
got a
right.
lot of eeps in the chat here.
I
few
see.
quacks.
There's a few quacks. So I figured we were going to have about 50-50 on this one, and I think we were pretty much about 70-30 here in the chat, in ours, possibly. There's 2 of you guys that said Quack, so.
I could have. I just do not remember doing it. So.
All right. Next one. Have you ever, and this is a multi-part one, ever made a Mac-related impulse buy of more than $50?
Eep.
Quack.
Eep. Eep.
Eep. Grudy, you better be on every one of these. You're going to be Eep on every one of these. So, all right, first one is $50.
What
And
about
I'm gonna.
$100?
What about $100?
Eep.
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 Yep.
All right, let's let the chat catch up here.
Chat is still eeping a lot.
Yeah.
Eep.
Well, we know Grudy should be like Eep on all these, so I'm still waiting. All right,
Yeah.
the next one. Have you ever done it for $500?
Eep.
Quack.
Quack.
Eep.
I'm too cheap.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, once I hit that certain point, it's like, nope.
I usually stop at 500. but
No,
I
you
did
don't.
for
No,
some,
you
No,
don't.
don't. Stop
Don't
digging
lie.
yourself
Stop
I said I
lying.
usually stop at.
Ah.
Okay, so now these are
Uh,
impulse buys. This is like you just,
Yeah.
I'm going to buy that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do
I
too
did-
much research, even on
I
a
did
stupid
that. I did that with
$50
my
card.
Apple Watch, so
Yeah.
that
All
was
right.
definitely in.
Next one, $1,000.
Quack.
Ah, bull.
I
Ah.
had one for $1,000.
What about
Yeah.
the M1 Mac, sir?
That's not $1,000.
What was it
Is
with
it more?
taxes?
There's a lot more than that.
Then
Okay,
it's
then
it's an Eep. That's an Eep.
Which was
I
this?
guess so, Eep.
Yeah, $1,000 or higher. It doesn't have to be
Or
exactly
higher. Oh,
Which
Yeah.
one was this?
The M1
Which one was
Mac.
that?
The M1 Mac he bought.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, he bought that within like an hour of them announcing it.
No, I,
All right,
didn't.
well,
I bought it a
let's,
day later.
Oh,
Let's
I'm
find
sorry,
out when the
24
eeps
hours.
stop.
But it was your
What
video
about-
that caused me to do it, Steve.
Yeah.
$3,000.
And the last one, 3,000 or more.
Quack.
Quack.
Unless anybody wants to give me $3,000, I gladly spend it very quickly.
Yeah. I mean, if I won the lottery today, I would impulse buy a Mac Pro. So.
Oh, Sean says Quack at 1,000. That's probably that Cube CPU upgrade.
Ah, that RGB. He didn't spend that much on it, right?
No, but the
Not the
dual
RGB.
2 gigahertz, I think.
The accelerator. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we got Quacks at 3,000, so there's still hope for us people.
Yes.
Oof.
Oh,
We gotta move.
somebody says I spent 4K on a fully spec'd iMac, but that was far from impulse purchase. Okay, so it wasn't
Yeah,
impulse
I mean,
purchase.
obviously, I think the idea is that once you get over a certain amount, people may well be spending that money, but they're doing it with planning and thought.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Like
meant this as something that Steve is very familiar with. You bid on something, then you get outbid, and before you know it, you added $100 to what you plan on spending. That kind of impulse buy.
I'm very glad I pushed the wrong button that time. And I was thankfully outbid.
Yeah. All right. Last Eat Quack. Have you ever lost a wireless device dongle only to find it plugged into one of your spare keyboard's USB ports?
Quack.
Quack.
Very specific, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very specific.
That's very specific.
Who
Yeah,
eeped on this one? Who eeped?
I eat on that one. I've done it like a dozen.
I just did it like last week. I am constantly leaving the USB receiver for my Logitech mouse in one of my Apple keyboards. Constantly.
I hate
I-
dongles of any
I
kind.
had-
so
I
don't
always
have
put those things in a USB port on the machine whenever possible, just because I lose them.
Well, like for instance, on mine, I have a unified dongle for both my keyboard and my mouse, so I only have one for both.
Yeah, I
of them.
lost that one too.
Well, this one's always plugged into my my Mac Pro, so it's like I don't need to move it or anything, so it's not going anywhere.
I had a USB Bluetooth adapter on my PC that I built in like 2008, and it was such a small little dongle, but the surrounding plastic was like neon green. So my thought was I'll get an obnoxious color that if I plug it in, I'll be able to see it and blah, blah, blah. Well, I plugged it into the USB port in the back of the PC, and probably like 5 minutes after, the piece of plastic fell off of it. So it was now practically invisible unless you were looking with a flashlight. So I spent the next like 6 or 7 years thinking that Windows with the little Bluetooth icon was having a fit because I thought it wasn't plugged in. And it was a problematic adapter even when it was working. And so when I decommissioned the machine, I'm taking it apart, and I'm like, that's a stupid dongle. It's been sitting there for 7 years just looking at me. So small, I lost it even though it was right in front of me.
Oh man, that's a good story there. I don't think anybody could beat that one.
I'll never forget that.
All right, guys. So next topic up on the list tonight is we're going to revisit an old topic of debunking some common Mac myths, and we got actually some good ones in here. I think first off, defragmenting a hard disk drive. Is it needed in Mac OS?
I will say I've never done it.
Yes.
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 A hard disk drive.
But
Now,
Spinner.
on a spinner drive,
Yes,
only.
spinner.
Do not do it on an SSD. You will screw it up.
Yep.
So
You will
what
ruin-
software would you recommend that I do the Googles to find a defragmenter for my Macintosh then?
well, we recommend to use
defrag.
DuckDuckGo, but that's
Well, whatever the heck. That's why I said the Googles with the Z.
iDefrag. It's actually free now because they stopped development.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is somebody talking?
No.
What?
What? Who?
He's giving
It's his voice,
Jake
but no
grief for
picture.
not showing his picture.
Oh.
My camera stopped working. I just tried 5
Oh,
different
sure.
USB ports. The camera is completely dead.
And you don't have 5 other cameras lying around.
I do not, because they somehow became crazy expensive over the last year.
Well, I wonder
Just use
why.
your iPhone.
Yeah, use
There
your
it is.
eyesight.
Oh,
I
there
see
you
it
go.
now.
What?
There you are.
Yeah. On now.
Okay, so either I have 5 dead ports on my hub, or the camera's messed up.
I think Joe's camera's infecting everyone else's cameras.
Yeah, I think
that's
so.
what it was.
All right.
Get that like
Hey,
weird
like I
late
said, I'm running
90s.
on Windows. You get what you get, okay?
Yeah, all right.
I just want your camera to do a nice green tint for Marcintosh. That'd be hilarious.
Hold on.
It keeps shifting like the orange.
I can play with the settings, okay?
Yeah, there you go.
So I mean,
It looks like
uh,
one of those late 90s filters that they would put on like the music videos and
Yeah,
stuff.
people pay a lot of money to get that, and you got it for free, man. So there you go.
It's
but
the color of karma.
to get back on topic here, for defragmenting a hard disk drive,
That's a
yes,
topic.
it's something you should do on a Mac if it's a spinner. But
if you need it, if it's the same as Disk Warrior. If you're not having any problems, by all means, don't do it. But I know that, for example, my media drive that I run Plex off of, TV shows and movies always being added, removed, shuffled around. After I defrag it, it becomes twice as fast, easy. So it definitely has a time and a place for it. But everybody, ever since Mac OS X came around, is like, oh no, OS X defrags in the background for you. And people just took it as gospel. What Mac OS X actually did is it takes files under a certain amount of kilobytes. I think it's 10 kilobytes or less, and it defrags those, which is really nice for preference files and all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't help you with your 10 gigabytes iTunes library or any of the bigger stuff. So,
because I must confess, I was, defrag obsessed back in the OS 9 days.
Yes.
But I don't think I've ever done it since moving to OS 10.
Because it was fun on OS 9 with speed disk.
Right,
speed disk.
What you said there,
utilities,
watching
man.
those lines.
now,
Now,
not to
I made it a
mention,
point. I made it a point to defrag at least once every 2 weeks, just so I could sit there and watch Norton Utilities speed disk.
and now Joe's black and white.
He's retro.
He's artistic.
So I went to the iPartition site, or the iDefrag, or whatever it's called these days. And so they no longer support Mojave. They no longer support APFS, Apple's new format dealie. But you can still download the version there, as long as you don't use that disk format. So,
normally spinners don't get APFS.
Well, unless you're being weird and you force it. But,
I mean, but
if you
in the
want
later
those horrible-
OSs, in the later OSs, it forces APFS on everything.
only on your boot drive. If you're using other drives, like I have my Plex drives, those are
HFS.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't
keep in mind
HFS
this
plus.
is
plus.
slightly different topic, but APFS has versions. APFS has changed a lot from when it first came out to where it is today. And today's version on a hard drive will basically flat out cripple it, whereas the version that was out at the end of High Sierra does okay, but it's not the same thing it used to be. It's horrible to run APFS on a spinner today with Big Sur or something. It's terrible.
I just don't. I don't run it on my spinners here on Big Sur, but because right now, to be honest with you, just trying to get APFS to work right as far as on your SSD is a pain in the butt sometimes, especially trying to grow or shrink a partition, APFS partition, is such a pain. And because what happened, and I'll explain my story here why I say that, because I cloned this drive from a 240 gigabyte to a 1 terabyte SSD. And so it basically, when you machine clone it, it makes it a 240 gigabyte partition, and it leaves that 750 gigabytes still not used. It took me 4 or 5 times and 4 or 5 different clones to actually finally get the thing to actually use the whole 1 terabyte, because APFS disk manager sucks.
It does. Technically, you shouldn't have to use the whole drive because it's a container that resizes as it needs to. But
it wasn't
I have
using
several SSDs in here that I purposely keep on HFS because I know that if it crashes or something happens, I have Disk Warrior, iDefrag, or not iDefrag, Disk Warrior, and older versions of TechTool Pro that know how to deal with it. And data recovery software as well, but none of that exists for APFS. Not reliable anyway.
Yeah.
So if I don't need APFS, I ain't using it.
Yeah.
Don't blame you.
But, I mean, the newer operating systems force you to actually use it at least on the boot drive.
Yeah, on your SSD, but that's fine.
I mean, there's definite benefits to APFS. It's a great file system. It came a long way from HFS, but recovery-wise, unless you have a good backup, you're pretty much screwed.
Yeah, I mean, having been using Disk Warrior for I don't know how many decades, to suddenly be exposed in a way where you can't use Disk Warrior on your boot disk. I mean, that was just horrendous. You know, I mean, it just sort of the moment I realised that, and that was on a hard drive. I didn't even, you know, sort of I had upgraded an operating system on a laptop for a specific reason, and it had formatted as APFS. I didn't even realise it. Then that drive failed, and I went to go recover it with Disk Warrior and couldn't do it. And that was when, you know, I just made that sudden realisation. It was on like a laptop, and I didn't really think I had anything on it that really needed to be backed up or anything. I was like, oh, yeah, this is just the copies of everything that I have somewhere else. But I did actually end up putting something on that I really did want to get back. And yeah, not just having Disk Warrior just not deal with it at all was just such a shock. And of course, however many years later we are now, and Disk Warrior are still saying, you know, we don't support it yet, you know, but it's coming. But they've been saying that now for years, so who knows?
Yeah, I think they implemented APFS in 2016, so or at least announced it then. So
that's another Mac-related myth. Disk Warrior will support APFS. No, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah. All right. Next myth: Macs don't get malware.
I think we already debunked that one at the beginning of the show.
That's why I was talking. I said we were going to talk about it later, but
and a common thing to sort of protect yourself from this, and it's been shared on, you know, Windows groups and Linux groups as well. If you are especially someone who is not too computer savvy and you're setting up a machine for somebody, or you are setting up for a machine for someone who's not computer savvy, rather, it's probably a best idea not to make them an administrator of the computer. You know, give them an account that's a standard account, and, you know, put in some protections there. So it really limits the ability for this malware to sometimes even install itself or even affect anything worthwhile. Because if it's pretty locked down, even if you get some nasty malware on there, well, it's not really going to affect your system files. It might be doing some weird stuff with your browser and things like that, but at least, you know, it can't really do as much damage as it could if you had it full-blown access as an administrator.
Plus, it's the Zoom client, which bypasses all that security anyway.
Yeah, Steve, I did that exact what you just said for my granddaughter's MacBook Air I gave her. I made myself and her mom a admin account on there, and I made her just a regular user account, you know, my granddaughter. So I told my daughter, I said, here's the passwords for them. All right, you're the manager of it, so you can decide what she gets and what she can't do. So, you know, that's the way I did it. I mean, and I agree with Steve. You got to do that, because if you're an admin on there, you could pretty much do anything on there.
Even accidentally.
Yeah, especially like on my system, because on my system I'm an open core and I have SIP disabled. So you could really mess up something.
Oopsie.
Yeah.
You can turn SIP back on, by the way.
Oh, I know you can, but the fact is probably back on. Actually, I think it is back on now, because when you do a param reset, it'll reset it back to.
Which you did about an hour and 16 minutes ago?
No, I didn't do a param. I actually had to hold the button down to turn off the Mac, and then turn it back on again. So
you made it angry.
Yeah, it was angry.
What temps is it running at right now, GT?
55 and 51.
Ah, that's odd, because sometimes when they overheat, they do that.
Yeah, no, this thing's never really overheated at all. Yeah. Even the Northbridge is only running around 60 degrees, so.
Nice. Those are good temps.
Yeah.
Very.
So here's another myth. Macs are more expensive than PCs.
False.
Oh.
Why?
Depending on the configuration.
It depends on the configuration.
Well, let's assume the similar configuration.
I'm going to tell you something. Linus Tech Tips actually debunked that, because he built a spec for spec, you know, PC to the Mac Pro, and found out it was actually more expensive to build that PC.
Yeah, I think where this comes into play is you will get a lot of bargain basement prices on new PCs from Dell or HP or whatever, who are selling out old inventory, or they'll sell you a computer. This was a thing years ago. they were selling computers without speakers, without floppy drives. You know, they were just cutting corners everywhere.
Yeah.
The big thing right now is the PCs that have the 1 terabyte 4300 RPM hard drives in them that are just crap.
Yep. Yeah. And then they say, well, for only $40 more, you know, we'll get you. That's exactly why. You know, yes, at one point in time before the Macs were Intel, it was very, very inflated. Where the G4 Tower or what, even the Mac Mini before, you know, the Mac Mini was the exception rather. But a lot of those machines were very, very expensive, and it was always, trust me, whenever I was trying to convince somebody at work to get a computer, they were like, look, it's an extra $700, and I don't understand the difference. But these days, I mean, especially with the prices, I think they'll continue to come down, especially as Apple is going to switch over to their ARM stuff. We saw the Mac Mini is a pretty decent price and stuff like that. I would hope it continues in that trend, but I think this one is sort of a myth there.
Yeah, I mean,
at least today.
Yeah, I mean, plus here's another thing too is that Macs actually hold on to their value a lot longer than a PC does, and
as long as they don't have 4200 RPM drives.
Well, yeah, I think
who is still using 2006 PCs?
Exactly.
Actually, I have a few.
Shut up.
All right, let's see. Can you put Windows 10 on that 2006 PC?
Yes.
And will it run good?
Some of them, yeah.
You can take a first-gen Mac Pro and put Windows 10 on it,
and it runs
a brand new computer.
Exactly. I think that's what Dana was going to get at, is that you put Windows 10 on one of those old Mac Pros, the Pro 1 or 2,1, 1,1 or 2,1. That thing is a new machine.
Yeah.
Yep.
But apart from the initial purchase price, what about maintenance over the years and upgrades? How does PC stand apart from Mac in that regard? Because
that's
it
was
a
where
hell of a lot more expensive to have a PC back in the day than it was a Mac, with the IT support you needed to clear up a virus or clean your registry or any of the million things that would traditionally go wrong on a Windows system. It didn't bother the Macs. I don't know if that changed. I haven't touched a PC since '98, but
Well, I would sit there and say for the Mac Pros, it's almost the same for the PC. But when you start talking about iMacs for upgradability and everything, then you start getting into problems, because the iMacs have, especially the newer ones, have the GPU soldered onto the logic board, so you can't change out the GPU. You can upgrade the memory on some of the. Well, actually, not the newer iMac, because the newer iMac, they soldered the memory onto it.
Yeah. Well, so I'm curious, Joe. What were you? Because you probably have some experience with upgrading PCs and stuff. So what's your?
Well, yeah, my day job is in the PC industry. I'm sorry to say, but yeah, with PCs lately, they're still pretty open. And the parts are cheap as chips for the most part. I mean, I've got clients coming to me with 6-year-old computers running Windows 7 that we throw a solid state in it, double the RAM to 8 gigs, install Windows 10 with the free Windows 10 upgrade that, yes, you can still get.
Yeah.
And it's a brand new machine, so it's a wash now. Back in the day, completely different story. You try to do an upgrade and you couldn't do it. You were completely rebuilding somebody's computer with spare parts, throwing it in a new case and doing all that stuff. So it has changed a bit, but I don't know. I think it's becoming a lot closer race now between the two sides. And the Macs tend to just perform better over time. So I don't know.
By the way, on the side note, we have 40 people watching and only 20 likes.
That's they liked the old stream and they
so any
button.
Yeah.
I think they're protesting.
Any more myths?
That's what we get for having a guest that's all about PC.
Yeah.
I said at the beginning, blame me. Blame me for everything.
So any more myths that we need to talk about before we move on?
No, I think those are the
think
biggies,
of?
right?
Yeah, I think those are the big ones.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Is anyone?
So the next topic for tonight is lemons. Did anybody ever ever bought a lemon, either new or used? Have you bought a computer that didn't work as it should?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it wasn't a Mac.
Yes. Exactly. It wasn't a Mac. Actually, I think I may have had one Mac that did it. But
Joe, what was yours? I'm curious.
Brand new HP I bought just recently. I got it as a replacement for my field computer again because I'm in the Windows world. I need a PC to run around and plug into people's routers and crap. And the USB ports were dead out from the factory. It was cheaper and faster for me to go online and get the replacement USB replacement board and just throw it in there than even try to warranty it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good quality.
I'm trying to think of anything that I bought that didn't, come up to my expectations.
My only Apple one was my Apple TV, and it fixed itself. But when you set up an Apple TV, it goes through this whole user-friendly thing where it's like, oh, we don't even need your Wi-Fi. Just place your phone near the Apple TV, and we'll transfer all your information. I'm like, oh, this is great.
And nothing.
Technology.
I grabbed my iPad. I grabbed my wife's phone. It's just like sitting there going, we're waiting. I had to hook up a it was stuck. It was stuck. I had to force reset and plug a Bluetooth keyboard into it. It was just a mess.
Come to think of it, I now just thought of that. When you just mentioned it, Steve, the iPad, the first generation iPad, was kind of a disappointment when I bought that one.
Well, was it a lemon or no?
No, it wasn't a lemon. It was just.
Well, that's what we're talking about then.
It says didn't work as it should. Okay, I thought it should be.
Well, define should.
Okay, exactly. Okay.
Well, let's say it worked as it should. It just didn't work very well. Period.
Yeah.
I mean, the first those first generation iPads, the point was to get you to buy them to make the market good, right? To get the concept out there. You expected to surf the internet with it. I mean, come on.
To this day, I still think that Apple released the first generation iPad just to gauge whether or not there'd be enough interest to even release second generation iPad. Because the first gen iPad was horrible.
Yeah,
but the second gen iPad was freaking awesome and actually still is to this day. Mm-hmm. If you don't mind working with, a 5-6 year old tablet with, an antique operating system, which actually, runs OS 9, I think.
Yeah.
All right, so everybody in the chat and here on Skype that had a Lemon PC, you got what's coming to you. Stop crying. We have a few Macs. We have a Power Mac 6200. We have Justin with a G5 that AppleCare had to replace outright. More Windows stuff. Yeah, I get it. Alienware gaming laptop. Sean, you asked for it.
It's all the LEDs.
If you buy Dell stuff, then you get what you get.
My Lemon PC was actually 3 all around the same time, and they were all HPs.
I think that was a user problem.
What? No. I was buying. I bought back in the day. I liked recording TV with Media Center.
Oh yeah.
So I went to Circuit City when they were shutting down. It was no refunds kind of sell.
Quick, Rudy's coming. Get the crap out on the shelves.
I got a $1,400 computer for $700. I got it home. It had no CPU in it.
Oh my god!
So
You don't need one of those.
my mother and I went back to Circuit City. Said, "You're taking this back and you're giving us a new computer because it has no CPU."
Yeah.
What's that?
GT, why do you always shove things in people's faces while other people are talking?
Because I can. I didn't say anything.
But anyway, so they actually upgraded me to an even better unit. I get that home, and the cable card doesn't work at all. At all. So I try everything, different operating systems and stuff. It won't do anything. Will you guys cut that out? But anyway, it just keeps glitching out with the card. And I sent it off to HP, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with it, and they sent it back. It did it again. I actually had to show them what was doing it through remote login and stuff. And they finally said, "Oh, okay." So I sent it back. They custom built me a computer with the exact same specs and all the same hardware, and they sent it back to me. And 3 months later, the hard drive died in it.
They custom built that hard drive.
By the time I got a new hard drive for it, the RAM went bad in it.
They sent you the same hardware pack.
Yeah.
3 different computers.
I bet you that hard drive was from 20 customers that returned one thing.
Actually, during the time period, HP had a bunch of hard drives fail, and they had a recall. I didn't know about it.
Oh.
So I got screwed over on that, too.
Oh,
so Trina wants to know is
the
Grudy's...
Compaq and HP had some of the worst quality control, because any computer I ever had trouble with was a Compaq or an HP. They're great when they run, though.
I'm not quite sure what the time frame is for this. Steve will probably have a better idea, but I bought a brand new Power Computing Power Tower Pro 180. So 90s.
Was it the desktop version or the tower version?
The tower version, Power Tower.
Okay,
Pro.
so that would be 1990s. I want to say 6.
Yeah,
96.
that sounds about right. So I bought one of those, brand spanking new. And so it had a 604. I can't remember what was in it. It was a 180 megahertz 604, I think, something like that. And I could never get that thing to work properly. Back in the day, there was universal binary apps. I think from memory, there was the 68K and the PowerPC.
The fat apps.
Fat apps. Yeah. And there was a little application that you could buy that you could drop onto a universal binary and split it into 2 separate applications. Split it into a 68K or split it into a PowerPC app and create, 2 different versions of it. Or you could essentially disable one or the other. I can't remember. It was something like that. And I could get any application that I ran, I could get it to run on the original 68K version of it. But anytime I tried to, slowly, of course, anytime I tried to run the actual PowerPC native stuff, it was incredibly unstable. I mean, if I tried to, say, run Doom or something like that, it would just crash constantly. So I suddenly found myself going in and disabling the PowerPC versions of all these apps and running it incredibly slowly on this PowerPC computer. And look, in the end, I should have just taken it back and got them to replace it, but I was sort of impatiently, trying to find the solution to the problem and managed to break it. So had to buy myself a new CPU daughter card. So
I was gonna say it sounded like it was a CPU issue because anything else would have
It was absolutely a CPU, and as soon as I ended up buying a Max sort of CPU, and I bought a faster one. I bought a 200 and something megahertz. So I ended up upgrading it in the process. But that did resolve the issue as soon as I had the CPU. It worked. Yes, but it was definitely a lemon. I mean, that was a problem straight out of the factory. So.
Oops. All right. So what we got next? What were they smoking?
Hold on. Let's see. Yep. What were they smoking is coming up next. So. We got a couple of items in here. So who put this first one in here? Not recap failed hard drive. So we'll go ahead and let.
The first 2 have to be Bruce because they're from Australia.
It must be.
Yep, these were put in last night.
All right, Bruce, you go ahead and talk about this one then.
Okay, which one have we got here? Oh, okay. So this is the first one. I think is just a Macintosh Color Classic.
More like a yellow classic.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, it ended.
Yeah, it ended. Did it sell?
Nobody bought it. No.
Nobody bought it. No. So, and this one, I should really put the link in the chat.
I got it.
Thank you.
I was getting ready to get it. So,
and basically, this is someone selling it was trying to sell it for $600 Australian, $600 and they are basically saying that it starts, but it doesn't.
You're gonna need $600 in peroxide to get rid of that yellow.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a very yellow one, but to be selling something, we all know that those things need to be recapped, and so to be selling something like that, and we know, and he's admitted that it's got a dead hard drive, so you're gonna have to replace the hard drive and put a SCSI 2SD in it or something like that. And I just think 600 was a little bit rich for that.
There.
Yeah, we go.
My browser is like lagging. Like I click on something and 50 seconds later it goes. So sorry, that's my bad.
So I wonder if it did it actually sell or did it just?
No, it looks like it just relisted.
And this next one here, I just thought this one was a little bit of novelty factor more than anything. This isn't necessarily a what were they smoking. It's more of a do you think it's worth it?
Not that much. I would.
I don't know. You're from Australia though, so.
I mean, you do have to keep in mind that this is an auction. This isn't the buy it now price. This has had 9 bids on it already.
I know. That's what's scary about that. I mean, somebody is wanting that at that price.
Absolutely.
By the way, David
working,
is here.
I don't see a keyboard or a mouse with it.
No.
It's not working.
And it's not working.
That means, Bruce, you're going to see this one in your shop here soon.
More than likely.
But the thing is that he's actually said, I'm pretty sure it's the power supply. Now, okay, so I'm going to just, I'm going to spend, bid a lot of money based on what this person has said. I mean...
Yeah, $2,400 for a guess. No, thank you.
Yeah.
And no key...
Madeline's not bidding on this, is she?
Anything's possible. Madeline, are you bidding on this?
I'll contribute $1 to the fund.
So anyhow, I just thought that was an interesting one because it is, the price is so high and people are actually bidding on it. So.
Yeah.
Oh my.
By the way, Ron's computer videos is here. And,
Hey!
he's a little late to the party. What happened? Didn't we send him an invite? What's going on?
Oh, there he is.
He must have not checked his Discord.
So
he was probably trying to watch the old stream link.
We actually have one more. Yeah, we actually have one more. We actually have one more to show in here, and I think that's a crazy one.
I'm going to put it in. It's coming.
I already got it. A beach to it.
No, you didn't.
I had to quit my browser. Something was going on here.
Yeah,
I beat you.
Nope, it's showing up, but mine's ahead of yours.
Oh, it isn't on mine, so...
Oh, I saw this one the other day.
Yeah, this is an interesting one.
Yeah, the Steve Jobs picture is what really...
Used in the Apple demo, though.
Sure.
Yeah.
How do we know?
There's
Wait, didn't we already have this
no
one as what were they smoking?
indication whatsoever that this was
we
used.
talked
There's
about
no
this
way to
before.
prove it.
Yeah. And what is this? This is a graphite?
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
It's a slot load.
Right.
And all the
only
pictures
tray
they
load
show is of tray loads.
Well, he's got the first picture as a tray load with Steve Jobs having it in his lap. It's a tray load.
Which
But you look at the
that
very
picture
second
is
picture.
If you look at all the demonstration pictures, they're all what look like Bondi Blue Macs.
Yeah.
Bondi.
The picture with Steve isn't even from a keynote. It's a promotional photo.
Yeah, but still, if you look at it, it's the one he's holding is a slot load, but the one that's in his very next picture is a slot load.
Yeah.
Oh, for shame, Jay, your serial number website does not like this serial number.
Well, then someone better submit the info.
It's right on the darn sticker.
Wait, there's
All right,
if
so
you look
submit
at that, look at that,
Submit it.
look at the fourth picture. There's a Lisa right next to that.
It's the Lisa from the other ad.
It must be.
Oh, yeah.
If you look at the fourth picture, there's a Lisa,
Yeah.
You can see it in the second picture too.
and there's no keyboard there, so that might be that.
His keyboard sitting on top of it.
Oh, and the shipping is $175 flat rate.
Oh, that means it's not
Oh,
going to
not
make
bad.
it.
And the seller only has 24 feedback, so just
Just saying, right?
Oh, he's got a rare Apple Power Mac G3 launch computer keynote demo used by Steve Jobs Macworld 2 for $34.95.
Wow.
Oh, here's
That's
another
a
one.
steal.
He wants $250 to ship that one.
Is this
I mean,
another?
If
Is this
you buy
another?
this, that just proves the fool and his money is soon parted.
Is this
Yeah.
another Goldman here? Or
Oh, this
what?
is the guy that had the VIP.
Oh, this is the
Coke
guy
can.
that has the Coke can.
That's why it's familiar. Yeah.
That's why it's so familiar.
Oh, geez.
he's also got a Lancia driver's side door.
Yeah. I see that.
All right, so
He's got a development team Picasso white pen for $750.
That's a
let's
steal.
go through
That
these.
side, too.
Let's go through these one at a time. What was the first one smoking? Which was the Classic Mac.
Classic.
I would say the yellowing
yellow
on that.
plastic.
Yeah, the yellow plastic is what he was smoking.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah.
What about the Lisa? I think those the caps.
He's smoking the keyboard.
Oh, I thought it was the caps. You know, because he said the caps popped.
He's smoking a reefer cap.
Ah, there you go. And what about this one? I think the dust on that first picture.
Or the sign that he's selling. The illuminated sign, smoke coming off of it might be what he's smoking. Because if you search his, it's an interesting, really large sign. If you look on his account.
Really?
But
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's smoking some stuff that Steve
Sean,
Jobs. Steve
Sean is
Jobs
going
actually
off script
gave
again.
him. You know.
He says he wasn't smoking anything. That's not the topic of this segment, Sean. He wasn't smoking anything. It's just pure, natural, unadulterated delusion.
No, I really think he was actually smoking some stuff that he got from Steve Jobs at the demo.
And it has not aged well.
Yes.
Yeah.
It hasn't aged well.
So, all right. So that's what they were smoking. We're getting around to the end of the show tonight, so let's go ahead and start with our shameless self-promotion. So we'll let Joe go first there.
Shameless self-promotions. I'm new.
Yep.
What does that mean? Do I get to talk about myself?
Yes.
Yeah, you can talk about what you got coming up.
Awesome. Well, everything, all the time. Subscribe to my channel and get all of the cool things. Marcintosh is coming up. I'm doing that. I make trinkets and things. If people want to contact me for trinkets, they can get trinkets. I don't know. You put me on the spot and I'm confused.
I warned you before we went live it would happen.
Yeah, but it is.
Hey, it's
That was an hour
shameless.
and a half ago.
Shameless self, and we told you, we warned you.
I just put the
But
link
no,
in
seriously,
for you,
yeah.
Jeff, so there you go.
Yeah.
Any big projects coming up? that you
Besides
wanna-
besides Marcintosh.
Oh, yeah,
Big project. That's a really good question. I am working on reverse engineering some Apple III stuff, maybe. Because that stuff's few and far between. Titan cards, soft cards, stuff like that.
Madeline would like that stuff.
Yeah.
Hey!
Oh, thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Ron.
Now everyone caught on. I wasn't calling Joe Ron.
I've also designed a replacement keyboard encoder for Apple IIs and Apple IIIs that I'm going to be spinning a new version of that will be tiny and universal.
Oh,
so
that's
it
right.
won't
It's
just
also
work
your
in Apple
prototypes,
on
yeah.
everything. It's an AY5 3600 replacement. So if you have an arcade machine that uses it or some other wacky computer that nobody cares about that's using it, it'll be universal at that point. So that's kind of in the background too. So keep your eyes peeled. I'll be talking about it on my channel at some point, I'm sure.
Awesome.
That was all pretty shameless. Well done.
So, anybody else got anything going on? I know Steve and Bruce are probably going to be streaming soon, right?
Probably.
Wow.
Sure.
I actually have a few things in the pipeline.
Sure. Yeah, we've been hearing
Who
that for
knows when it's going to happen?
months.
But I actually came up with an idea at the beginning of the stream tonight.
Tell it to us now so
I
we can
ca-
rip you off before you
I
do.
kind of want to try to stream a live stream on a first generation MacBook Pro with a Core Duo in it.
It'll melt.
More than likely,
good luck.
it'd be
320p,
pretty
baby.
interesting.
I
It's
tried.
good. It'll be fine.
I
I
tried
tried
on
with
a
the first
2009
gen.
MacBook Pro. How the hell are you going to do it on a 2006 MacBook Pro?
Yep.
Exactly.
I tried it on a first gen Mac Pro and it wouldn't work.
I'll probably have to try to stream it at 480 and hope that works.
No, Mike was having trouble at
120 or something, 144.
It was bad.
So,
Oh, my Lord.
weather permitting, which it doesn't look that good, but Mike and I were going to try and get together this weekend. So, we'll see if that
Oh,
actually.
I'm driving over there. I don't care what the weather's like.
Okay, that is.
I got a 21-inch monitor on the passenger seat of my car. My ass is going to New Jersey.
It's a 17
Gas
inch.
mileage is in the toilet right now carrying this monitor around in my car.
So
It's
I
only a 17 inch, 16 inch viewable max.
so maybe I
It still weighs 6.5 tons. I think the monitor weighs more than my car does.
Good, it'll give you extra traction on the road.
So maybe I should have Mike swing down here, grab your goodies here, and
That's a bit
then
out of the way.
have him pick up my goodies and bring them swing right back down, and you know.
I don't think you want your Apple II anywhere near Mike's cats. Yeah, but we're hopefully
You're
going to
only
be
2 hours away. You can drive up to New Jersey and pick up and drop off your monitor.
Yeah, he's just lazy. But yeah, so we are trying to plan something like that, so that'll be fun. And,
one of these days, all three of us, us three, need to plan because we're so close together here. So
we're going to set stuff
I'm pretty
on
close
fire.
too.
We're going to blow up a couple of caps. Tannerite.
Yeah.
We're going to smoke some reefa.
Speaking of blowing up caps there, Bruce, tell us about what happened to you.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I was working on a Macintosh 2FX, and I am going to probably put this video, minus all the swearing, I'm going to put this video and possibly the still, because the freeze frame of this thing is extraordinary. So I was working on a Macintosh 2FX, and people who may not be aware, the Macintosh 2FX had two different versions of that. One of them, the capacitors were mainly tantalum, and a couple of surface mount electrolytic, whereas the other version, they were all surface mount electrolytic. But I had one of the ones with the tantalum. And I had replaced all of the surface mount electrolytics, but not the tantalum. So, you know, it's like, the tantalums, they'll be fine, all good. And I had given it a clean. It was all ready to go back to the customer, but I always give the computers another test after giving them a clean, just in case the ultrasonic has cleaned away any little bits of corrosion, you know, revealed any sort of, damaged traces or something like that. So anyhow, just all casual, just get a thing out, plug it in, put a display card into it, connect the power supply up, no worries, switch it on, and then, pow! Off goes one of those tantalum caps, just blew up.
Beautiful. And it wasn't by himself, because he had a private stream going only for us Mac Yackers, and we sat there and watched it happen live.
Yeah, that's right. It's not available unless you have the private link, because I swear all the way through it. But it is.
There's plenty of epic F-bombs in that stream.
Yeah,
for good reason, though.
I did actually get it recorded, so that happens so rarely when things blow up. So that was fantastic. So yeah, I'll probably put some stills and maybe a little snippet of that video onto my Facebook page for anyone who might want to have a look.
You probably need. The stream was what, 2 hours? You probably need 6 hours to bleep everything out.
It was 5 hours.
No, it was 5 hours, and
God, yeah.
If he bleeped everything out, all you would hear is beep.
Who left their multimeter on?
Yeah, so just to sort of clarify, every now and again, I sort of, if I've got a lot of work and I don't, I want to try and get through as much stuff as possible, I will do these streams just for the Mac Yak guys, and just send them a private link that they can then go in and watch. And with those ones, I do not watch my language at all.
Does not.
Believe me, he's very restrained in his normal stream.
Well,
you think we're bad during Unreal Tournament? You should hear Bruce when he's recapping in private.
There's usually wine,
too. I look forward to his private streams because I love hearing epic Aussie F-bombs.
Oh, boy.
Anyhow, so I will share the exciting parts.
Well, the uncensored stuff could be a Patreon bonus or something.
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, obviously, I clearly cannot monetize those ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think that YouTube would like that very much.
I think Joe just needs to create a Bruce swearing T-shirt and put it on his store, and then we'll be good to go.
Yeah. I might suddenly start losing subscribers. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, but you'll be left with all the
fun. Some over to me. You and your 15,000 subscribers.
That's not 15.
All right, 12.
It's 12.
It's only $14.99.
10,500. So there you go.
And we always like to make Bruce think it's because of Mac Yak, because he was at 200 something when you first started with us.
Yeah, with you guys. Yeah,
it has nothing to do with him actually
that
doing
up.
Content.
Yeah.
You are featured on Mac Yak. It's your ticket to fame.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So keep that in mind. You have us to thank.
I mean, even Steve is above 5,000 right now because of Mac Yak.
We thank you guys every day.
Yes, you do.
Don't forget to subscribe to Joe's channel. We put the link in the description of the chat as well, and it's also in the video description. So there you go.
Yep.
See,
All
he
right.
danced. There you go. There you
Anything
go.
else, guys?
Yeah, I was supposed to dance, right? I was supposed to do some sort of like. Yeah.
So, anybody else got anything going on before we?
I just want to go on the record and say that after last week, when I said during my shameless self-promotion that I was going to clean my office, I cleaned my entire. I did.
No, you didn't.
This desk was all clear.
My basement is clean too.
Was. That's the key word.
Look, a few boxes came in with repairs, and now it all went to hell again. So.
Okay, unless there's video to prove that it was clean, I'm not buying that.
I lost $1
the
million,
next cleaning.
but then I lost the lottery ticket, so yeah, that's...
Yeah. Sadback goes, wait, you actually cleaned your office?
I did.
Yeah, he even doesn't believe it. See?
Steve actually cleaned up part of his basement. We have the video to prove it.
Yes.
I doubt it looks like that, but we have video to prove it. Steve has an excuse though. He's moving stuff around.
Stian, I can't pronounce his name. Stian said video can be faked. So
Yeah, Jace just green screening the entire.
At least Trina believes me.
I wouldn't believe Jay.
All right, let's end it.
Dutcher all
right, guys. So just to let you know, we do have a Discord server. Discord link is up there right now. Yes, we do. If you want to come and join us, come on over and have some fun over there. And you guys are more than welcome to join us over there. We do actually tend to come in there every once in a while on voice so you can talk to us if you want to. Also, make sure you hit that like button. Okay, we got 27 likes and 34 viewers. So, yeah,
Smash
that's
it.
sweet.
Hit it.
Don't just hit it. Bruce,
Yeah.
tell them what they should do.
Smash that like button.
There we go. And now we have to pay him $10 because he said that. So.
Wait, the price went up?
Yeah. Of course, Bruce is at 12K. So
our new webmaster, webmistress, what do you call that? I don't know. Told us that we need to advertise the website more. So there it is, mac-yak.com. It's actually being updated once in a while now.
Yes.
Nice.
Check it out. Yep.
All right. So guys, check that out. Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell notification icon because we only do this once a week. Now, you might have got 2 alerts tonight only because I had problems, but yeah, you're only going to usually get 1 alert a week. So don't worry about us spamming you with alerts. Anyways, guys, it's been fun, and we'll see you guys next week. And yes, Joe, thank you very much for showing up. All right, you guys have a good night, and see you next week. Have a good one.
See ya.
Marcintosh.